could be better
Okay.
under the circumstances.
All right, what is your name?
Dion Ross,
Okay, hi, Ms. Ross. What borough do you live in?
Queens.
You live in Queens. Okay, so how did you hear about FPA Foundation?
When I got involved in this situation, I went on the internet under Force ACS to reform organizations against ACS, and the organization came up.
Okay, so tell me, what are the obstacles and challenges that you're having as a parent dealing with the child welfare system?
I feel as if my rights were violated, were hijacked. Actually, I wasn't even aware that things like this could happen in New York City, in the United States. I feel like I've been railroaded from the very, very beginning. When the ACS worker first showed up at my door based on a random complaint from one of the neighbors, I assumed. And we had the interview. She was very hostile. She was aggressive, as if it wasn't a complaint, or she didn't come seeming to like she was going to investigate. She came to accuse, and her attitude was very aggressive, very accusatory. So I cooperated initially, but then afterwards I became uncomfortable because I could see where this was going, and I asked her to leave. It snowballed from there. It seemed it was more of a vendetta than actually seeing whether the allegations were true or looking after the best interests of my child. It became a whole set of accusations on my character, in which case I don't know how she could be aware of my character based on one interview. She even made assumptions about my child that were far from true, and I'm feeling by the things that I heard afterwards, I don't even know exactly what was said, but from the things I heard afterwards, she insinuated that my child was slow, that my child was over-sheltered, in which case, considering that I'm accused of neglect, I don't know how my child could be over-sheltered. I mean, which one is it? And basically, keep asking, what's this ongoing investigation? But no one can tell me what they're investigating exactly. They're not telling me who they're speaking to. They're not telling me what they're looking into, because I know that I have nothing for them to find. My daughter is well taken care of. No complaints from her school. She was in a private school for many years. Very attentive. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I'm always available to her. No one can say that they've ever seen her mistreated or with bruises or in dirty clothing. They can't say that. She says, or they can't say that they've seen her wandering the street or involved in any nefarious activity. No, that's just not the case. So I'm questioning, what are you investigating? And no one can tell me. And they're saying mostly that it's based on this initial intake. And my question is how could they base so much on an interview that just happened, that took place for whatever period of time, one interview, and that's it? That all of a sudden my character and everything, my history, everything that I've done for my daughter, with my daughter, my entire relationship with my daughter, all comes into question by someone that doesn't know me, that seemed to have come with a preconceived notion, that seemed to come in with her own agenda, her own attitude, and frankly, she seemed as if she had a chip on her shoulder. So she didn't seem interested in the truth. She just wanted to take the ball and run with it. And after that, I thought, okay, so I was thinking, this is the United States. The truth is going to come out. But no, it's just snowballed, and the problem kept going and going, and I'm not getting the information that I needed. I had no idea what to do. I didn't know who to take advice from, so I'm getting like different advice from people I think is there to help me, but only to find is pretty much no one seemed interested in the truth. No one seemed interested in proving that I'm innocent. They were more about, oh, plead guilty, just comply, go with the flow. So I was like, okay, these are the people advising me, I'll go with the flow. And I complied over and above. And still, when I went to the what I thought was going to be the trial, it was just another settlement conference, in which case they still didn't have any more information on me. I'll tell you why, because there's nothing to find. But because there's nothing to find, instead of saying, we're going to stop, we're going to let this go, no, they just pushed the date even further out, another couple of months. Meantime, my entire life stopped. My whole world stopped, actually. They put a full order of protection, as if I'm a criminal, as if I had this long history with ACS, when ACS has no record of me. I have no criminal background. I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm educated. They have nothing, and yet they went full-fledged as if I'm a murderer or a child abuser. They attached this label, this stigma to me, without, they weren't even interested in hearing my side of it. It was just like, just go with it that you're guilty. Not even tell me the ramifications of pleading guilty. I mean, at first it offended me for them to even say that I neglected my daughter, when my daughter was so well taken care of, over and above everything that I can do. She was my only child, and I took very good care of her. And for them to say neglect angered me very much so. But then afterwards, feeling that I was being swept away against, this tide of accusations, and not knowing what my rights were, and assuming that these people, because that they were in this position of authority, were going to do the right thing. I thought that their job was for them to do the right thing, and they haven't been. If anything, they've been abusing their power, misusing their power, and instead of protecting the children, they're saying that this was for the benefit of my daughter. My daughter's been suffering. Tell me, if your child is used to you being in their everyday life, how could you suddenly rip their mother away? How do they expect that to affect her? And then to say, instead of rectifying the situation quickly, they're looking to drag it on because they don't want to admit that they made a mistake. They don't want to admit that they haven't found anything in their investigation. No, they still have nothing but the initial report by this caseworker, who, by the way, is no longer with the agency. And they're not really saying why that is. That she's not with the agency, I have my own assumptions. It's probably due to incompetence or hostility. Even the people that she's spoken to, she spoke to my minister, and she was very abrupt, and she was very nasty in dealing with my spouse. She was not forthcoming with the correct information. She pretty much didn't do her job. What she claimed to be doing for the benefit of the child, she did anything but. In fact, she's succeeding. No, I'm not letting her succeed, but she's attempting to rip apart my family with seeming the blessing, apparently, of the city, because no one is making her accountable. No one is investigating or following up to see that her accusations hold any water. She could basically say anything, and no one is checking. No one's fact-checking, no one's speaking to witnesses, no one's doing anything. If this was a criminal case, it would have been tossed out already. It would have been vacated. It wouldn't drag on. But that's what it's doing, and it's disrupting my life. And it seems like if they're pressuring me to plead guilty. Number one, plead guilty to what? What did I do? They still can't tell me that, but they're just speaking as if I'm guilty already. And
So what message would you like to share with our council members and our Congress members about your experience dealing with the child welfare system? What type of reforms you think need to be done, or what do you think they need to do about this situation as a parent being impacted right now?
I think the ACS should be held accountable for their actions. That's too much power to put into any agency and not hold them accountable. There should be some sort of checks and balances. We are in the United States of America. Your rights aren't supposed to be hijacked. They're supposed to be for the benefit of the child. How about somebody making sure that their actions are actually in benefit of the child? How about trying to keep the family structure together instead of trying to rip it apart? And then I think the fact of giving so much weight to one interview, that this one interview could impact an entire family for months and months and possibly years. It could impact my reputation, my future history of employment with children for years, based on one person who could have her own preconceived notions, could have her own issues, could have anything going on. I mean, how is that fair? How is that right? How is that correct? Who can justify anything like that? I think that a light needs to be shined into these situations, into that agency, and they should be forced to do the right thing by everyone. Not cover things up because they made a mistake or they're afraid to look foolish or anything like that. No, respect. You want us to respect your authority and to respect your institution. I don't think they respect it themselves because they don't respect their job. They're not doing their job. They're not making sure that the people working under them are doing their job. They're not concerned with the right thing, which is the child, the family structure. They're not concerned with any of that. They're pretty much more concerned with, I guess, just looking right, looking as if they're doing the right thing when they're not. Or I'm not exactly sure what their agenda is, unfortunately. But it's not the family, and it's definitely not my daughter.
What message would you like to share with other parents that are going through the same situation you're having at this particular time?
Please do yourself a favor. Get informed. I think that was majority of the battle for me. I never been in a situation like this before. I did not know what to expect. I had no idea that things could go this far based on nothing. I didn't know who to trust. So a lot of decisions I made were misguided. They were under duress. They were under instructions of people who had their own agenda, actually, that I thought that they were giving me advice for my best interest, but it was for their own. And they weren't actually there to help me. And if anything, might have hurt my situation or caused it to snowball even more. So from the beginning, as soon as you find out what's going on, in fact, initially, I don't even think that you should speak, when a caseworker shows up at your door, I don't even think you should speak to them without speaking to an attorney, getting advice to find out what their rights are and what your rights are too, because I was made to feel like I had no rights at all. And what rights I did have that I found out after the fact were totally trampled. Totally trampled. They really misused their power and they used my own ignorance against me. So please get informed, find an advocate, have someone that you know is on your side. Because ACS is not there to help you, they're not there to help your child, they're not there to help your family. So, and the courts, they're not there to help you either. They're pretty much just going along with whatever ACS says. And if you consider that all this power and all this backing and all this support, that is all coming based on one person's testimony, one person's report. How about making sure that she has the proper training or that she has the emotional stability to do her job or the proper empathy that she needs to have her job? How about making sure she's qualified to make those type of decisions before giving her so much power and then throwing the whole weight of the organization and the legal system behind her?
Okay. Thank you very much today for your time.
Thank you.
I guess I had to go to that place to get to this one. Now some of you might still be in that place. If you're trying to get out, just follow me. I'll get you there. You can try and read my lyrics off of this paper before I lay 'em, but you won't take the sting out these words before I say 'em. Cause